secrets beneath a Michelin star. People see the shine, the glory, the polished plates, but they never see the shadows. A Michelin star glitters like a promise, yet behind its glow lies stories few kitchens dare to speak aloud. This is a tale of a restaurant that earned its star not through perfection alone, but through the hidden sacrifices that shaped the brilliance the world admired. Today, diners chase Michelin stars as symbols of excellence. Cities compete for them. Chefs build entire careers around their pursuit. But the true weight of that tiny, coveted symbol is far heavier than most imagine. To understand how one restaurant rose from obscurity to global acclaim, we must return to the moment when its journey began. Not with applause, but with a quiet, urgent hunger to prove that greatness was within reach. The restaurant itself was unremarkable. A narrow dining room, a modest kitchen, a staff held together by hope more than experience. Yet, at its center stood a chef whose vision burned with startling clarity. He believed a restaurant could become a world of its own, a place where flavors told stories and guests felt transformed. But belief alone wasn't enough. Not when the expectations of a Michelin inspector hovered like an invisible force, shaping every decision, every detail. Night after night, the chef and his team pushed themselves beyond exhaustion. They dissected sauces, challenged techniques, and reinvented dishes with relentless precision. Every plate felt like a gamble. Every service felt like judgment. Yet beneath the dedication lived a secret truth. The restaurant was struggling. Finances were thin. Spirits were thinner. And while the pursuit of excellence drove them forward, it also threatened to break them from within. Still, the chef pressed onward. Because hidden somewhere in the chaos, beneath the ambition, beneath the doubt, was the first glimmer of a star that would soon shine brighter than any of them could imagine. The pursuit intensified as the team fell deeper into the unforgiving rhythm of excellence. Every morning began before sunrise, with ingredients scrutinized as if they were rare jewels. Every night ended long past the final guest departure, with the kitchen glowing from the heat of endless revisions. Perfection became both their compass and their burden, a silent force dictating each movement. But behind the polished surfaces, fractures began to appear. The sous chef, once the chef's closest ally, felt crushed under the weight of expectations. Line cooks barely slept. The pastry chef's hands trembled from hours of delicate, unbroken work. They had all chosen this life, yet none anticipated how deeply a star's promise would carve into their days and nights. Tension simmered quietly, invisible to diners who praised the restaurant's seamless elegance. Meanwhile, whispers of an approaching Michelin inspector spread like a warning. No one knew when it would arrive, or what dish might determine the restaurant's future. Every guest was treated as a potential judge. Every order carried the weight of hope and fear. The team moved like a single organism, synchronized, determined, and quietly unraveling. And then came the kitchen meeting that changed everything. The chef introduced a new dish he believed could define their identity, a creation built from humble ingredients elevated with extraordinary care. Some loved it instantly. Others questioned whether it was too simple, too bold, too risky. Debate filled the room, fueled by exhaustion and unspoken fears. But the chef stood firm. He felt the dish carried something essential, heart memory, the very reason he became a chef. Yet doubt persisted. Could such simplicity win the approval of inspectors known for their unforgiving standards? Could a dish born from vulnerability compete in a world obsessed with spectacle? The staff exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that the restaurant's future now hung on a single idea that divided them. And outside the kitchen, rumors intensified. Guests claimed to have seen someone dining alone, taking quiet notes. A potential inspector, perhaps, or maybe just a curious visitor. Uncertainty wrapped itself around the team like a tightening rope. They were preparing for greatness, yet teetering on the edge of collapse. The conflict was no longer distant. It was here, unfolding inside the kitchen walls, pressing against every decision they made. The kitchen had become a crucible. Every motion carried tension. Every silence felt weighted. The team worked with precision, yet beneath their synchronized movements lived a quiet desperation. They were no longer chasing a dream. They were running from the fear of falling short. And as pressure mounted, the smallest mistakes felt catastrophic. A slightly over-reduced sauce, A garnish placed half a second too late. A momentary lapse in focus. Each error ignited frustration that flared like sparks in a room filled with fatigue. The sous chef, once the steady anchor of the brigade, began showing cracks. His voice, usually calm, now trembled between urgency and doubt. The pastry chef's artistry faltered under the strain of impossible expectations. The line cooks, young, eager, hopeful, felt themselves slipping into a rhythm that no longer resembled passion, but survival. The restaurant's pursuit of the star had become a quiet battle fought in whispers, long hours, and moments of hidden collapse. Outside, the dining room told a different story. Guests laughed, toasted, and marveled at dishes crafted under the weight of near-breaking spirits. Each plate appeared effortless, refined, balanced, immaculate. No one could see the storms unfolding behind the kitchen door. No one sensed how close the restaurant was to unraveling. Then came the night that pushed everything to its breaking point. The dining room filled faster than expected. A sudden wave of orders surged toward the kitchen. Timing slipped. Communication fractured. One cook misfired a dish. Another overcooked a centerpiece ingredient. The chef intervened, correcting mistakes with a sharpness born from fear rather than frustration. Voices rose. Hands shook. For a moment, chaos threatened to overwhelm the delicate balance they fought so hard to maintain. And then the maitre d' approached with a quiet urgency. A guest had arrived alone. No reservation. No announcement. They ordered meticulously, choosing dishes with an almost surgical curiosity. They ate slowly, observing everything. The staff exchanged glances. No one dared say it aloud, but they all felt the same jolt of dread. This guest might be the inspector. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Every plate became a test. Every second stretched thin. The chef pushed himself harder, pouring his entire soul into the dishes sent to that solitary table. But underneath his composure, doubt roared. Was the team too exhausted? Was the menu strong enough? Would that controversial, simple dish define their fate? The inspector's meal ended with a quiet nod. No expression, no hint. They left as silently as they arrived, leaving behind an emptiness that swallowed the room whole. And as the kitchen cleaned after midnight, the team stood in the heavy stillness of uncertainty, knowing that whatever happened next would determine whether their sacrifices had meaning, or whether they had chased a dream that demanded too much. The following weeks felt like walking through fog. Service continued. Dishes evolved, and the team tried to steady their pace, but every shift carried the weight of unspoken questions. Had they done enough? Had their fractures shown? Had the inspector felt the soul behind the simplicity of that defining dish? No one knew, and the silence from a Michelin world wrapped itself around the restaurant like a slow, tightening coil. Then, one crisp morning, the letter arrived. It was unmarked, discreet, nothing more than a slim envelope slipped beneath the restaurant's door before sunrise. The chef stared at it for several moments, heart pounding with the memory of every sacrifice that had brought them to this point. When he finally opened it, the air in the kitchen seemed to hold still. The restaurant had earned its star. Relief washed through the team in waves. Tears from the pastry chef, laughter from the line cooks, a rare smile from the sous chef who had nearly broken under the weight of expectation. The dining room, still empty from the early hour, felt transformed, as though the walls themselves had softened with pride. For a moment, the months of fear and doubt dissolved into something pure, the quiet knowledge that their work had meant something after all. But the chef felt something deeper than triumph. As congratulations poured in and reporters began calling, he stepped aside and let the noise fade. He thought of the late nights spent questioning himself, the strain etched into the faces of his team, the fragile moments when the dream seemed too heavy to carry. A star had crowned their effort, but it had also revealed a truth he could no longer ignore. Greatness is not built on perfection alone. It is built on people, tired hands, persistent hearts, small act of courage that no one ever sees. The star had not been earned on the night the inspector visited. It had been earned in the shadows, long before, when the team chose to push forward despite the pressure trying to break them apart. And so the chef gathered his team, not to celebrate the star, but to acknowledge the journey. He reminded them that brilliance is fragile. that success is not a finish line but responsibility, and that the true legacy of a Michelin star is a story it carries beneath its shine. Their restaurant had become a beacon, not because of the accolade, but because they had dared to believe they could rise together. What lies beneath a star is never glamour. It is humanity, tested and refined into something extraordinary. Subscribe to join the journey.